Stoveleg Media, igniting conversation.
Welcome to True Crime to Go. What can I get for you?
I want a story about something that's either the biggest coincidence in history or a horrible misunderstanding.
Pull up to the second window and we'll see you next crime.
Welcome to True Crime to Go. I am John here with Jamie. Holy crap, dude. This is crazy.
I've been, I've known about this one for a while, just haven't found the right way to work it into our show. It is, it's pretty fascinating once you dig into the details, and nobody really knows what happened, but I have a hard time believing it's coincidence.
I've got an opinion just based on my very limited research. You took the bulk of this one, but man, today we are going to go down to Houston, Texas, and that is where two women, both named Mary Morris. Now, these are different women. They live completely different lives. They live in totally different neighborhoods, but they were both murdered in their cars just days apart. The similarities are eerie. The cases are unsolved, and the families are still searching for answers. So tell us about Mary Morris number one.
Yeah, so let's go back to October of 2000. We had all just survived 2K. We were having a good time. Why 2K? Two women sharing the same name were otherwise unconnected. The first one was Mary Henderson Morris, who is 48 years old, and she was a bank officer. The other was Mary McGinnis Morris, 39, who was a nurse. They had never met, didn't know each other existed, didn't have Facebook at the time, and they weren't in each other's circle on the MySpace. Mary Henderson Morris left her home early on October 12th. She was supposed to go to work at a Chase Bank branch in Spring Valley. She didn't make it. Later that day, police were alerted that her car was found burned out in a remote area. Identified by tooth fragments is how they figured out who this was. There was no robbery, no motive that they could tell, and her body was completely scorched on the inside. Her husband later reported her missing, and that's how they kind of put it all together.
And within just a few days, Mary McGinnis Morris, who again was a nurse practitioner, she was outgoing, she was very kind, but on the day that she was murdered, she did not return home from running her errands, and her car was found with her inside, and she died from what appeared to be a single gunshot wound to the head. Her body was discovered in the car, and it was not burned. Evidence suggests there was a little bit of a struggle. There was blood on the passenger door, and car doors were locked with the keys being on the outside of the car.
Yeah, so both killed in their car, one burned, one night. We don't really know if Mary Henderson Morris was shot. They were unable to tell because of the fire doing so much damage. Here's what we do know. Two women, same name, same city within a week, both found in cars. Neither involved robbery. Neither family noted any kind of motive that they would suspect, particularly in Mary Henderson Morris's case. She seemed to be living a stable life, kind of under the radar with no enemies. Family started wondering, are these connected? Was one a botched hit? And that's the theory that most people, at least I think, want to go with, is that there was a hit put out on Mary McGinnis Morris, but the killer accidentally killed Mary Henderson Morris first and then went after Mary McGinnis Morris.
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest, that's my gut. And investigators had a tough job, especially in Henderson Morris's case. Identification was delayed because her body was so badly burned, and it was identified, like you said, only by the fragments of the dental records. The site was remote. Evidence was largely destroyed by the fire. So, yeah, there were definitely accelerants used. The car was almost completely melted, so nobody could gather much physical or material DNA evidence or fingerprints from that site. But I mean, what are the odds? I think somebody hired a bad hitman and they found the wrong Mary Morris.
Yeah, it really seems that way. There was a little more to go on in McGinnis's case. You mentioned the blood. She had actually recently reported feeling uneasy, like someone was following her, like she noticed people in the store, but surveillance was limited at that time. We don't know if anybody kept driving by her house or happened to be in the same places. So a few different theories have emerged. The hitman scenario we already talked about is obviously the most common and most popular. Others say that may have been completely separate conflicts. McGinnis did have some marriage problems. She had a troubled relationship with a coworker, and some believe either of those things could have led to this type of violence. But if they are separate, then nobody really knows who would have gone after Henderson Morris, especially to the point of covering up the evidence so heavily.
I wonder if there will ever be a day where we see closure on one or both of these cases. I mean, was there enough physical evidence that remained in Mary's death when the car wasn't burned in order, like, will that evidence ever tie back to anybody, or is there just not enough physical evidence there too?
You know, the family still have hope. There is some of that evidence, you know, DNA, there were fingerprints. They just never been able to match it. So I think this is one that could be solved with the familial DNA, the McGinnis one in particular. Tying it to the Henderson one, I think unless they arrest the McGinnis killer who confesses to Henderson, that evidence was so badly burned that I don't know they're going to get anything.
I have a random thought, and I'm going to go ahead and ask it here. We use cell phone records to put people at the scenes of crime, right?
Correct.
So if you were murdered and I did it at 7 p.m. on a Monday, then if I have my cell phone with me, it should ping in the area where you were murdered, right? Well, I mean, AT&T, Verizon, whoever, they would have the means to, if the cause or if the time of death was determined to be in this specific area in a very tight window of time, wouldn't AT&T or Verizon be able to say, okay, these are the users who pinged in this very small geo grid, right?
Yeah.
So these are your suspects. Why can't they just utilize that, infringe on my privacy to solve a crime?
I mean, that's the reason. You have to get a warrant to get AT&T to release. Let's say they wanted to look and see where you were. They would have to have a warrant to ask where you were. So they can't just generally ask for a generic warrant for everybody near the area. Now that I hope our privacy violation doesn't come to that, but that is possible. Back in 2000, I mean, not even everybody had a phone then. So
right.
I think it would be even more sketchy back then, but I do think that's a constitutional violation of privacy. So
see, I don't know. I would be okay if in my term and agreement check that I do for AT&T, Verizon, or whoever you have, if there's a little paragraph about, in the event of someone's unfortunate death when there is no suspects, we utilize the right to give police officers what they need to further their investigation. And I'm okay with that.
You are, because you're not killing people. But
yeah,
I can't think of a reason that I would want to hide. Like I like you, like, yeah, sure, I don't care. I'm not doing this stuff. But what I don't understand the things that people could be doing that they don't want available during a murder investigation. So I can't get into that mentality. But, you know, I think they're not going to do it unless there's legislation that demands it. Because if AT&T starts doing it, T-Mobile is going to say, come over here. We keep your stuff private.
Yeah, murderers welcome, baby.
Let's go. It'll be a competitive thing. So, yeah, I don't know. I wish the crimes could be solved, but the combination or the stress between privacy and justice is a common theme, I think, in our crime stories.
Jamie, this was a good one, and I hope that one day justice will be served for both of these women.
The story of two Marys in less than 10 minutes.
Would you like crime with that?
You've listened to True Crimecast, distributed by Stoveleg Media. Check out stoveleg.com to find out more about your hosts and to find other podcasts to listen to. Stoveleg Media, igniting conversation.